Right, so I have returned once again today to deliver another episode of Sangatsu no Line Season 2. This episode being episode 6. As we know, was not spooked. Was not spooked. Man's not spooked. So yes, as we know, we had an episode last week. It was the episode. It was Ray's episode, kind of, sort of, because his character's sort of starting to get his bearings. He's got a purpose. The man's got a purpose. Man's got a goal. He's going to commit to that goal, and I like him for that reason. I'm like, boy, you finally found it. Good job, Fambo. Good job. But also, putting that to one side, we got Akari's exploration of her character, because it's very much needed. I think her character exploration was very much needed, because we need her perspective on the events, because it's actually kind of vital to what's really going on here, and it was very freaking amazingly explored. I was like, Shaft, calm down, boy, calm down, boys. But you need to take a step back, because if you don't, ascension will happen. You will just rise above and go above and beyond, and actually probably hit Super Saiyan level 3 of stuff. I don't freaking know, but God bless those people at Shaft. God bless those people, because doing God's work, literally doing God's work. Oh man, I was sitting there like, you know what? Today's Saturday. Today's a goddamn day, isn't it? Today's a goddamn day. So let's see what happens. I know this episode is actually quite the episode as well. So, without further delay, let's get this show on the road. Let's see what happens. Let's see whether or not we actually leave unscathed when it comes to emotion. I don't think we will, because let's face it, we won't, because we always leave with the tears, but the tears are like, yo, it makes me feel, which is actually kind of one of those things that certainly your heart feels even more than your tears do, which is actually kind of a very good thing an anime does, because if an anime makes you cry, it's like, yeah. If an anime makes you feel pain in your heart, then you're like, bro, it's doing something. So that's why I always saying, I always feel like my heart is hurting after Sangatsu, so good job there. So anyway, without further delay, let's get the show on the road. So in 3, 2, 1, let's begin now. Oh man, I wasn't. Why am I feeling already? It's 10 seconds in. It's 10 seconds in. You know, I'm actually fairly certain this show is the greatest show ever made. You do know that. I'm actually fairly certain at this point. This is literally the greatest show ever made. Like, I don't want to see Hino cry, okay? This show's got to make me watch Hino cry, so I do not want to see that. My heart, I'm telling you, my heart hurts. But one thing the actual introduction does, it really kind of just tells you the impact that one event had on Ray's life, which I actually kind of really like. It actually kind of reinforces it, because certainly he can say, "Oh yeah, by the way, that event changed my effing life." But to actually see it constantly, actually see a recurrence of it, it kind of reinforces that statement. It's one of those things that actually really kind of just does it really perfectly, I think. So good job on that one. Yeah, I was like, I do not want to feel at this stage of the actual anime, but I can see what they're trying to do there. Because Ray does actually mention at the end of last episode, he goes to Akari, look, she saved my life. So did you. So do not worry, did a great job. So it does tell you there and then. It is a very impactful part of his whole entire life. But then actually kind of reinforce it by seeing it again. It just tells you straight away. Which I really do like. Also, goddamn, his opening is so goddamn perfect. His OP is just beautiful. It's beautiful. At least we actually can call Saturdays Sangatsu Saturdays once again. Which is actually kind of a gratifying moment. Also, testament to this show, the fact actually can go from a very depressing moment to a very happy moment and actually not feel jarring. Good job there on that front of the anime as well. It's one of those kind of unappreciated moments of the whole entire thing. The way it just kind of juxtaposes the drama between the kind of more lightheartedness. They actually are doing this scene really perfectly as well. They're doing this amazingly. I love this boy. He's just the boy. He is the boy. He is the boy. can we all just fact agree that was one of the greatest scenes this whole entire season so far? Holy crap. That was absolutely astounding. That was perfectly done. Jesus Christ. I was not expecting that. I was really not expecting that at all. This boy. This boy. Man's got the determination to do what he wants to do. I love it. He did. He needed it so bad. It's one of those things I even though the actual arc itself is quite depressing, it's fantastic the fact that Ray's actually finally got a purpose he's found. As it alleviates some of the depression the arc actually has. It kind of gives the arc some semblance of hope, if you get what I mean. It balances it perfectly. It's not a perfect alleviation because you still got that depression there, but it sometimes just interweaves it with hope. Oh god, my heart's actually hurting a lot now. My heart is hurting. Oh god, this show. This show's so goddamn perfect. It actually hurts. Oh god. Oh man. Again, unbelievably outstanding. You can see that the teacher's starting to break as well. Like, it's very subtly done. Like, you can see that she's starting to break. It's very subtle. It's a very subtle way of showing it. Well, okay. Let's just face it. This is the greatest show ever made. I don't care what anyone ever will say to me. This is the greatest show ever made. That was absolutely outstanding. I don't care. Nothing else will have any meaning to me besides Gintama. But that was absolutely outstanding. That was done perfectly. I was waiting for the episode for a long time, and then just nailed it. And then went above and beyond it. I can't believe it. Oh man. The show is absolutely impeccable. I don't know how they're doing this. Oh boy. It's one of those episodes that's actually really frustrating to watch because it's kind of one of those things that the teacher kind of just won't do anything about it. Once you actually kind of realize what's going on with the teacher as well, it sort of begins to make sense. Granted, yes, it's not the correct way of doing things, so it makes sense. But how it's kind of handled right now, you're kind of like, for love of Christ, just realize certain things here. And the fact that she actually goes straight to the victim rather than anyone else, it's sort of just like, I can see what she's trying to do, but at the same time, it's just like, oh man, I don't know. It's just, this show is just absolutely outstanding. I don't think I'll ever encounter a show like this ever again. It's absolutely just breathtaking to watch because it just does everything so perfectly. Like, there's not enough credit for the show. It's just not enough credit. Right. Okay. Because look, that scene where you kind of just understand the psyche of Hina's character was absolutely impeccable. Like, it perfectly shows what goes on with the person inside themselves when they're having this kind of situation. The fact is, they want to do everything they can possibly do to actually kind of make them realize what they've done, but they just can't because they're just in certain ways on to stoop to their level. Because if you kind of go there and just lay it in and just go, look, what you're doing here is absolutely disgusting, and then break out a fight, you're no better than them. That's it's a terrible thing when you think about it, because you're kind of just sitting there, you just have to bottle these emotions up inside yourself and not be able to kind of just express yourself, because it's just one of those things that it's horrible. Like, it's horrible not being able to kind of just retaliate in certain way because you just know better than them. So it's one of those admirable things, that the fact that Hina just won't do it. It's just one of those things, just like, good job, because you know better than them if you do it. Like, you just don't stoop to their level, because it's one of those things that life always teaches you, just don't ever stoop to the level of what they're doing, because otherwise you won't get anywhere. But oh man, Jesus Christ, that episode was horrible, because you're kind of just sitting there like, why is this not getting sorted out by the school? Because the school, once you realize what's going on with the teacher, I think it's actually even next week or the week after, probably will actually kind of go into what's going on with the teacher. But once you kind of know, once you actually kind of realize what's going on with her, you kind of do in theory understand what's happening here. But before that point, it's a frustrating experience, because you're kind of sitting there going, why would you go to her first and not anyone else? And the fact is, you're kind of asking the victim here, what's the meaning of this? It's kind of like, I can see it because her name's on the board, and actually, in theory, she's a part of the whole entire thing. But she didn't write it, so why would you go to her? Why wouldn't you just kind of sit there and kind of go, look, we're not moving from this room at all until we figure out who did this. And we're actually going to find a reason why you're doing this, because otherwise, this will never get sorted out. So that's kind of the correct way of doing things. But granted, at the same time, it doesn't really sort out the bigger picture here, because as was said by Hayashida last week or even the week before, I think it's actually last week, he says, look, even if this thing gets sorted out completely, if this thing dies down, if you've got nowhere to go, you've done nothing, basically. So you can see why, in certain cases, that bringing the school into this whole entire thing can be kind of very negative, because it kind of isolates the actual kind of victim even more than beforehand. You're kind of just stuck there, like, what do I do now? No one will talk to me, because they know if something happens, I'll go straight to the school. It's one of those things. It's kind of horrible when you think about it, because you're isolated even more than even when you were bullied. It's kind of, bullying is the worst thing ever, because you can't ever get out of that bubble at all, because even what you do, it's still gonna negatively impact you afterwards. It's a horrible situation, really, when you think about it. Like, it's just, there's no way out of it, kind of, when you think about it. Bullying has 0 ways out of it. Like, there's 99 million things on the internet about it, but never 100% of the things work. It's kind of, it's horrible when you think about it. That's why it's kind of amazing how they're organically looking at this whole entire thing and kind of just telling you, look, this is certainly something you probably have seen in your school somewhere in life. I mean, Ray says it. Look, what she's going through probably is something everyone else actually seen in the whole entire life, because this hierarchy does exist in real life. This hierarchy that you do see in schools does exist. Like, it's one of those things that it sort of makes no sense, because why is one person above the other? But it's one of those things that happens in life. Like, it's horrible when it's a fact of life, as they say. But it's kind of one of those things that's actually kind of a telling thing, that it's actually really exploring this idea and actually kind of really organically showing it, because it's a real life topic. It's a real life problem as well. It's a hierarchy that once you're kind of there, you're this grandiose person. Once you're actually not there, you're basically nothing more than anyone else. It's horrible. Like, no one should be more than anyone else in this kind of situation, but it's happened. And it's horrible. But props to Ray to actually kind of try to actually kind of fix it in his own way. Granted, it does in theory still kind of, it's a telling thing as well about his character. The fact is, he's trying his best, but certainly sometimes it's not the kind of way of doing things, because it doesn't really kind of help in any way. But it's actually kind of admirable when you think about it. Like, he's trying his goddamn damnedest to fix this, which I do love about his character. Like, going Takahashi, which is just like, I can see what he was trying to do. It was kind of adorable when you think about it. It's just like, it was really nice of him doing it. But it's one of those things that it didn't help in the long run, but you kind of saw Hina smile, which actually was kind of one of those things that in theory kind of did actually fix certainly something there, which is actually kind of a nice way of looking at it. It's not one of those things that kind of helped in the longer picture, but it's actually kind of helped in that situation entirely. So good job on Ray for that part as well. It was one of those things that it was actually kind of telling his character that instead of him consoling her, she was consoling him as well. It's actually one of those things that he's got a long way to go. It's actually kind of one of those ways it kind of really shows it really nicely, that he's actually got this mindset, he's got this actual kind of motivation, but he's not fully there yet. He's got a long way to go, and it's actually kind of showing that perfectly, and I actually quite like it. This is one of those things, it's not just happens overnight. It's just click his fingers and goes, oh my god, I'm the best husbando ever. No, he knows it. He knows he's got a long way to go. One of those things actually kind of nice when you see it. Because otherwise, you get these characters who are like, oh my god, I know what I've got wrong with myself. I've got to fix this right now. It doesn't ever feel right. It feels really kind of sudden, like there's no point to this. But Ray's character, it's kind of very, very slowly done. So you actually kind of do see this organic, actually kind of character development that actually does in theory work in his favor. So I actually kind of like it. I actually kind of like the way they're actually kind of exploring Ray. But my god, the OST. Unsung Heroes' whole entire series is the OST, because it's absolutely freaking impeccable. Like, it's one of those ones that it really, in theory, just elevates scenes just beyond where they are currently. It just makes it ever more better. I'm like, god damn, the OST in the show is absolutely impeccable. Like, it's one of those things that it's the animation, the OST, and the actual VAs deliver so much to this show. God damn, the visual direction the show has is absolutely outstanding. That scene inside Hina's actual kind of psyche was absolutely impeccable. It's like, I was not expecting this, but Shaft, if I can shake your hands right now, I would shake your hands, because that was absolutely outstanding. Because it was one of those things that I was not expecting, because the scene in the manga was absolutely perfectly done, but Shaft went above and beyond it. I was like, whoo, what are you doing, boys? What are you doing, boys? Like, you're doing an impeccable job. Yeah, the OST probably come out like, they normally come out every couple of Blu-rays, if I'm correctly. That's how I've always seen it. But my god, I just love this series so goddamn much. It just does everything so perfectly. It's one of those things that it kind of also explores the idea of once a person leaves, the impact they kind of leave upon that class. So it's actually kind of depressing to see no one actually kind of remembers Chiho at all. is actually really freaking depressing, because the stories that were told about her, it kind of tells you that she's basically the nicest person God's given Earth, and it's actually kind of depressing what actually happened to her, and it actually kind of makes you even more angry the fact that it actually did happen to her, but actually it makes you more depressed with the fact that no one actually really remembers her. She's basically just non-existent anymore. No one even kind of mentions her anymore. It's depressing because it does happen, but the fact of what actually happened to her makes everything ever more depressing, because it's just, why is this happening? Why is it happening to her? Why is it got to happen to anyone else in real life? Why is this thing so goddamn awful? But good job this show is actually exploring it, actually kind of just telling you how this actually kind of does happen in real life. Like, it's actually kind of a very realistic portrayal of bullying, really, because bullying is actually one of those things that, as I've always said, in media, it's kind of a very hard thing to pull off, because you either go one or two ways. You never kind of strike the middle line with it. Sometimes it kind of either feels like you're going too much into it and kind of just going a bit too overboard with it, or you're not kind of showing it enough. It's never kind of very organically shown. But with this one, you do in theory see there's a lot of research behind this whole entire topic, and actually kind of then realistically portray the events perfectly. It actually kind of shows. So it's one of those things that, by God, if no one remembers this actual series after this show, I'll be angry, because this show deserves to be remembered for at least 10 years, even 20 years, because this show is absolutely outstanding for what it does. Like, it really is. It just does it absolutely astoundingly. Like, it's one of those things that I've never seen it done like this before in my life. But alas, probably people remember more my sister's All I Need more than this show, because let's face it, that's what life's like. Life is horrible, as they say. But yeah, I mean, but one of the silver linings of this whole entire arc is beforehand. One of the things this arc does, in theory, it kind of does paint a semblance of hope. It's not kind of always there, because it's actually kind of, it's masked by its actual kind of very, 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 very heavy current of kind of depression, but the hope is there. Raise the kind of hope of the arc, which is actually kind of very, very neat, because when you think about it, his character very much wasn't that originally. He was kind of very much just kind of reclusive, very kind of just on his own, but now he's got that purpose. He's actually gone forward, actually become a character who we actually kind of want him to be since the beginning. It's actually kind of nice, the fact that actually he is the hope of this whole entire arc. He's the one kind of pulling along everything that's actually going on his own, while also actually in theory everyone else is actually kind of doing their own bits, but Ray's actually kind of there as well, kind of just being the kind of epicenter of his whole entire arc, which I actually really do like. I think that's one of those things, it perfectly elevates his character beyond where he was beforehand, actually kind of shows him to be a completely different character. And as I said in my manga streams, like, look, if you show me Ray at the beginning and Ray now, I would tell you they're two different characters entirely, because they're not the same character. But it's one of those ones that it really kind of paints it perfectly how much he's actually grown since the beginning to now. It's actually kind of outstanding to see. It's one of those ones that, again, the only other anime I've seen done this like this is really much Gintama. Then my brain is kind of said different anime just then, but Gintama perfectly shows it. Perfectly shows this character development as well, certainly, with certain characters. I mean, great example of it is actually Katsura's character. Katsura's character pretty much shows that development perfectly. But yeah, I mean, this shows kind of the other one. But yeah, for love of Christ, this show needs to be remembered for 10 years, because it does things perfectly. Really, I love the inclusion of that scene when Ray kind of realizes, oh my God, she's my savior. Like, it really kind of makes you realize there and then that this scene, that event, really is the kind of what put Ray into the right kind of mindset. It's actually kind of nice to actually kind of reinforce it, because again, he did mention it. He mentioned the fact that, look, she's my savior. It's kind of one of those things. I've always said it. Dialogue kind of does, in theory, kind of just paint half the picture. But once you do it visually, it really kind of elevates, actually kind of solidifies that kind of meaning. And the fact is, it kind of reinforced that statement by actually kind of showing that event again. It kind of shows you the motivation that Ray has. It kind of shows you what Ray's trying to do. It kind of shows you how much of an impact Hina has on him, and how much actually respects Hina for it. It was actually kind of neat. I actually kind of like the inclusion of that scene once again. So good job on that part for that scene once again. Because otherwise, it kind of would have been like, why are they showing that again? But once you actually look beyond that, it really kind of paints the picture and really kind of just shows you. So yeah, good job. Good freaking job. Yeah, Ray has really come a long way. It's one of those things that he's got his flaws still. It's actually not kind of like he's completely A-okay just yet. He's got his flaws still, but it's sort of gets to the point that he's actually sort of starting to get to a good point in life, which I actually kind of like. But yeah, I mean, damn. One of the other scenes in this show that actually absolutely impeccable and impactful was the scene of how they actually kind of portrayed the classroom once the actual kind of writing was on the board and actually on the desk as well. I actually really liked how they did that and how Hina actually kind of reacts to the whole entire thing, how the color comes back into the scene. I thought that was impeccable. That was very subtly done, but well, very subtly done, but you know what I mean. It's got like a subtle meaning behind it. It's actually kind of really neat, really nice way of doing things. It's actually kind of one of those things, but also it kind of does in theory show what bullying does to a character. Like it's the psyche of Hina's character right now is actually kind of an interesting concept because she's a character who's always been kind of very, 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 very happy, very, very humble, kind of one of those easygoing characters, one of those very loving characters, one of those really nice characters, but at the same time, once you've kind of fallen into this kind of pitfall of despair, it can in theory change a person. Like a person can change. Like it's one of those things that is kind of expertly showing this contrast in development of characters. Like Ray's kind of growing forward, while in theory, when you think about it, Hina's going slightly backwards, in a sense of kind of going to a point where you would see Ray in certain cases, like kind of not in the same way she was beforehand. Actually, kind of a neat thing. Like you see one character progress while another character decreases slightly. It's one of those ones I actually kind of like. It's one of those ones that it was actually kind of a neat way of showing it. Like, you kind of do see where she's coming from, the idea of the hatred in her stomach that she has for these people, what they've done to Chiha, and actually what they're doing to her as well. You can understand where she's coming from, you actually understand that hatred she has. So it's not kind of unwarranted, but it's actually kind of expertly showing the fact that one character progressing while one character is actually kind of receding slightly. So yeah. But yeah, it does in theory also show the fact that a character can change because of these events. It's not one of those things that a character will just get over it because they can't. It does in theory change certainly some people. People do change because of these events. They become more cold, more bitter, more disconnected with a lot of people. They kind of feel as if they can't ever kind of social, not in a sense socialize, but kind of trust or kind of go forward with people because they feel as if what happened beforehand might actually happen again. It's that one of those things that it's horrible when you think about it because they've done nothing wrong, but now they're kind of stuck in this bubble of not being able to kind of progress forward because in theory, if she actually kind of goes to anyone might in theory kind of go, oh, you're that girl who was bullied. You're the one that kind of told everyone about what was going on. Like in theory, then you can't be trusting. You're actually kind of just stuck perpetually in this void of not being able to kind of progress, actually kind of just stuck in this middle area. It's kind of just horrible when you think about it. Like, no one deserves it, really. No one deserves it because you're trying to sort out a situation. You're not trying in theory to get someone expelled. If they get expelled, it's actually kind of what they've done. It's not what you've done. You've done nothing wrong. You're kind of going in to stop it. You're doing nothing wrong, but it's kind of horrible when you think about it, but that's a fact of life, as they say. It happens. People do act like that. People act cold to people that actually try to kind of sort situations out because they're like, what happens if it happens to me now? But alas, what can you do? Life is like that. Life is cruel and life is horrible. It's one of those things that bullying is a freaking atrocious thing that actually happens in real life. I can never actually stand seeing it happen. But man, I think what Hayashida says last week is actually kind of one of the most truthful things I've ever seen in anime. Like, it's one of those things that it told more truth than I've ever seen in my whole entire life in school. Like, school never really kind of they teach you, like, look, bullying is horrible. Bullying should not be tolerated. We will stop bullying. But do they really do anything? Do they really kind of then fix what's really going on here? Because they try to. Don't get me wrong. They do in theory kind of go, look, we will sort this out. But it never 100% stops. It's always there. Like, in essence, you can inflict fear into people to actually make them stop, but in theory, it doesn't actually kind of 100% stop it. So it's one of those things that it's one of those things you can Google and actually kind of find oodles and oodles of information on it, but 100% of the time, it never works. And it's horrible. It's one of those things that can never stop, but alas, this show's actually kind of showing you, like, look, this is the impact it does have on people, and I actually kind of think it's very much needed in today's society. Today's society should look upon as anime and actually kind of look what it actually does in theory to do to people. Actually kind of make you realize how you should stop this, how you should combat this, and how you should actually kind of teach students not to actually kind of fall into this kind of pitfall. Just don't do it. Just kind of don't treat people differently to how you would be treated, because what's the point? Like, you don't get anywhere. You're not kind of fixing anything, but Jesus Christ. I don't know. But that's just me. So good job on the show actually kind of portraying these events perfectly, because it's one of those things that it's needed in today's society. I think it's one of those things that needs to be kind of brought to light, but alas. Hopefully one day we actually kind of reach one of those points that it kind of, in theory, just allows a society that doesn't actually kind of tolerate this kind of thing, because they are trying to stop this, but it's kind of one of those things. Will it ever stop? Will it actually ever be fixed? But we're not too sure at this point. But yeah, that's just me, at least. That's just me. It's a frustrating experience, because it's one of those things that I think everyone probably has seen this happen in their own lives, like kind of just seen it, either not to them but to someone else. It's actually kind of horrible, like kind of just seeing it happen to someone. It kind of makes you kind of just go, why would you be like that? What do you get out of it? I mean, people will say, well, look at their own lives, and look what we're trying to do here. It's one of those things. It's still like, why though? But why is it? It doesn't fix anything. It never fixes anything. But I don't know. It's also kind of one of those things that the show is actually kind of doing it at the correct age, because the age where Hina's at right now is kind of a place where bullying is very susceptible. It's actually one of those places where you actually do in theory see it kind of very, very at a rise. It's actually kind of one of those things. It's actually kind of a nice point to put it at. Well, not in a sense, it's not a nice place to put it at, but it's kind of one of those things. It's actually kind of it's the correct age to actually kind of portray the events, because it's actually kind of one of those places in school where you actually kind of do see it over the age that she is right now. So I actually kind of liked the fact that actually kind of do that. Don't get me wrong, it does actually happen when they're adults as well. This is one of those things that it happens everywhere, but the fact it's actually kind of telling you at the age where Hina is right now is a thing that I think everyone has actually in theory seen in real life. So yeah, that has been me for today. I have to go lie down for a bit and go see Justice League for a bit, because I actually think I need Justice League after this. I think I need to go and see Justice League and actually kind of calm down slightly. I need to go and see Batman on screen and actually just kind of detoxify myself for a bit, because I've seen Sangatsu. Sangatsu is kind of maybe freaking depressed now, and just even more than I was beforehand. So I need to go and see Batman take some people down for a bit. You see 2 hours of just Batman taking down bad guys. That'll fix me for like 5 minutes. So yeah, every single show will probably move to tomorrow. It's actually probably after this point. So do be on the lookout for that tomorrow or Monday as well, because I have zero idea what's going on tomorrow. My schedule is very much a little bit strange lately. I have a very, 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 very unneat schedule, because uni is really taking out of my life at the moment. I'm really kind of just... You get sinus infection and you kind of got uni, just your life just kind of perpetually gets stuck into a void of just like, what the frick's going on? Like, you're kind of doing everything you possibly can to actually kind of get everything done, and your sinus infection is kind of playing up, and you're just kind of like, what do I do? What's life anymore? Where am I? What's going on here? It's an interesting concept. Don't ever catch sinus infections, because it's horrible. It's horrible, I must say, because your eyes sting, your nose kind of feels like someone's punched it constantly. Your head feels like someone has actually kind of just repeatedly punched it like about 10 times. It's a very interesting concept, but I don't know. Don't ever catch sinus infections, boys and girls. It's horrible. So yeah, until then, till tomorrow with Ancient Magus Bride and Kekai Sensen, or Monday as well, because probably I actually might do some Sangatsu manga tomorrow as well. Hopefully, if I don't actually kind of recede into a pit of despair because of my schedule of uni. So, with all that said, I have indeed been the driver. So if you have enjoyed my very lengthy talk about Sangatsu no Lion, then do leave a like, because indeed it does help me quite a bit. I know then you like what I do here. And then if you actually have enjoyed what I do here, and you want to stay a little bit longer, then do leave a sub, because indeed it does help me quite a bit. But until tomorrow, or Monday, or Tuesday, or Wednesday, or Thursday, or Friday, I shall see you guys then. Bye for now.